is for living. And at First International Bank and Trust, we're all about living, helping your dreams come true. Because we're not just in the banking business. We're in the first home business, the community sponsorship business, the how do I make this happen business, making your banking life easy so you can focus on what matters most. First International Bank and Trust. Live first.
A family farm is, well, different. The cab of a tractor is the CEO's office. Board meetings are held on the bed of Grandpa's pickup. And a conference call is a holler across the yard. To hurry your chores, kids, there's homework to be done. A family farm is about family pride as much as profit. Farmers Union Insurance believes this way of life is worth protecting. Because this isn't just where we work, it's also our family's home. Farmers Union Insurance, simply different.
Coming to you from the Bonfire Studios North, it's another episode of Tauros Weekly. I'm your host, Peter Theodos. Joining me, as always, Ken Oda. Ken, another weekend of no hockey for the Tauros.
It was an off weekend that it was kind of nice. I'm not going to lie, we don't often get weekends during the season, so selfishly it was nice to spend a weekend doing almost nothing.
And it was kind of needed too. After a week of having a group together and playing a game as this team, it was nice to have the boys able to go out and practice and kind of build some more team chemistry also.
Yeah, we had Wags on last week, and he talked about the opportunity to, with so many new faces in, a chance to kind of basically do a little mini training camp and build some team chemistry, get the guys together a little bit. And
it seems like we've had 4 training camps essentially this year so far, and when you've had the turnover that the Tauros have, it's kind of needed.
Yeah, well, not just that, but then also the stop and go start to the season with playing those games in October, then basically having COVID hit 3 or 4 teams in the division all at once and shutting us down in November.
Not to mention Minnesota as a state shutting down.
And then Minnesota restrictions kind of putting a damper on what was supposed to be December. And then the restart to the season in January, we play that one game on New Year's Eve. Then we had a weekend off. We played the weekend against Kenai and then another weekend off. It's been stop and go, and hopefully we're through that. And I think we only have one off weekend left on the schedule, and that's not until sometime in April, if memory serves. So
it's either April or March. I don't remember.
So we've got a good stretch of games here going, and as long as everyone stays healthy, that'll be the case.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of healthy, let's welcome in our first guest for today, Tauros athletic trainer, Kevin Melby. Kev, hey. Welcome back to Tauros Weekly. We had you on last year, so welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to have you on because we've talked about it a lot with the coaches and the players and all that. But to fully get kind of a description of what's going on behind the scenes, I wanted to bring you on. So why don't we start with kind of where has the league gone with their protocols this year?
And how much extra responsibility has that added to your life?
It's added quite a bit, I guess, if you want to say, of keeping tabs on everybody every day. The Tauros have been doing a great job with it, with our online daily screening and taking temps. We take a lot of temps every day. Every time they come to the rink, the guys do a daily online screening. And if they are questioning anything, they got my phone on speed dial, and they call me, and then I discuss with them what we need to do for the next step.
I know fans might not remember, I had it back in September, right before the season got going, and you were my first call. As soon as that Monday, I woke up and I had a little bit of a temperature and a little bit of a cough, didn't feel great. Wasn't awful, wasn't sure. I called you, and right away, you stay home, and I stayed home the 5 days and tested, and sure enough, turned positive. So, I think having that online screening and really taking that inventory in the morning of how do I feel, what are my symptoms, if I have any, I think that really does make a huge difference, as opposed to just having you on call to say, okay, Kevin, I don't feel it. I think taking that 5 minutes to do that online really makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. And I like that the guys are all buying into it, and they're all doing it very well and keeping tabs. And then if they call me, then we know exactly what to do. And if we've got a guy with a symptom, our policy is we keep them home for 5 days. On day 4, they schedule up for a COVID test. And right now it's going well because we haven't had anybody call. And plus the rapid tests are available now, so it takes us a lot shorter time to find out if they've got COVID or not. And that's really helpful.
You've had, besides going through and being our COVID coordinator per se, or whatever you want to call it, it's also affected the way that you do your athletic training and just your daily job with the Tauros. So kind of talk about a little bit, how has that affected the amount of people that you can train and also the way that they're training?
Well, Trinity Health has some policies and procedures that we do follow. If I've got injuries, like before, I could probably have 5 or 6 in the training room doing rehab at the same time, but now I can only have 4, and that includes me in there. So that that takes a lot more time during the day to do rehab. So if I don't get the rehab done in the morning, we'll come back at 5 in the evening and we'll do rehab. Also with strength training, our dry land has had to change quite a bit too, because now I have to split them up to, I can only have 9 guys in the dry land room at a time.
And that includes you,
and
right?
then one more includes me, so I can have a total of 10 in there. And so then we break them into 3 groups, and it hasn't been that bad. It's been really good. I can concentrate and be a little more sport specific, and I can cue a little bit more. And I think the guys are getting a lot out of it. And the only downfall is we just have to spend a little bit more time there now.
Have you noticed, you're with the guys pretty much constantly, having them split up into groups like that, have you noticed that affect team chemistry at all? Maybe guys being a little less, when you don't have them all together in a group, it's a little bit harder for them to bond in a group.
Yeah, I do think that's a little bit, because I do find that they got their little cliques that they want to hang out with each other. But Coach Wagner's kind of put a damper on that, and he said that he wants to make the group. So now to get them to gel a little bit more, he rotates who's going to come up first, second, and third. And I think that's getting these new guys that came in a lot more comfortable with the olds and the vets that have been here.
You mentioned new guys. Besides having COVID and all those difficulties, we've gone through a lot of bodies this year, so that's got to be a little difficult on you also, because you got to get the concussion screenings and just getting all those basic baselines in. How difficult has it been with just the roster turnover and having just so many different guys come in this year?
Well, it hasn't been a problem. Guys have been coming in, and we kind of got a plan, and we know exactly what we need to do with these guys coming in. So most of the time, if they're bringing an athlete in, I will send the forms to them on email, and then they'll have them filled out by the time they get here. And then I'll go through and take the blood pressure, height, and weight. And then I will get them in to see Dr. Manner for a physical. And then the only other thing that I really got to do is do a baseline concussion before they play a game. So it really isn't. It's a little more time consuming just because there's been a lot more players coming in and out. But you have to understand that they got to find the right guys. And I think right now they found the right guys, and I think we're ready to go.
Speaking of guys coming in, whether it was over the summer when you were dealing with our vets, or now dealing with some of these guys coming down from Canada who haven't played a game in a very long time, how much work did you do with these guys over the phone before they ever got to Minot, especially the guys who were coming in for training camp and maybe couldn't go skate or couldn't go to the gym over the summer like they normally would?
So I just discussed with them about their condition, making sure they get out and run and doing them. Most of them already are set up with strength coaches back at home, and they had workouts set up for them. And the biggest thing is I wanted to have them come in that they had legs. If they got in and they were tired and they weren't having legs, they would be doing extra conditioning on the bike at night. Yeah.
And then with the new guys who have come in, guys like the Rollison boys or Schmonk who are coming down from Canada and really have not played a hockey game since March of 2020. We're talking 10 months since they've played a real competitive game. How much did you have to watch them and be careful with them, jumping into playing games against teams that have been playing now for a couple of months and guys who are in game shape?
Well, those guys came in and they were in all right shape. They told me a couple times coming off that they were a little tired and they needed to work on their condition, and so that was proven to them when they went out on the ice, and that just put a little bug in them that they knew they had to do extra conditioning between doing bike at the rink or else going to the wide and getting on elliptical or doing some more conditioning and getting their legs and doing some different strengthening things, and we were able to get that, and I think they've got up to it and they're doing good now.
With all the starting and stopping this year, conditioning is obviously a very important thing. What were you kind of instructing the guys to do while we were kind of in a lull of games to keep their conditioning up?
Well, I would give them bike workouts, and then if they didn't have a bike at home, maybe getting out and running. And the weather was so nice now that they could get out and do some conditioning.
I guess that was a big added plus.
It was a big added plus, and then we not only worked on long distance stuff, we talked about doing sprints and working on quick twitch things.
With the schedule being readjusted now, we haven't had to deal with a road trip and a night in a hotel since last March. We've got a lot of that coming up. I think one of the new challenges coming up will be 3-game road trips where we're going to St. Cloud and then on to Austin, or going to Cloquet and then down to St. Cloud. How much of a challenge will that be for you, and keeping the guys ready to go for that third game in 3 days and travel mixed in as well?
Well, it's always interesting trying to keep them healthy from game to game. When I'm at home, it's easy. I got all the modalities and all the equipment I need to get them ready. So I do pack stuff with, and we do a lot of band stuff. We do a lot of dynamic stuff, and I do have some TENS units that you guys have purchased for me, and these guys just eat right, sleep right, and just keep monitoring them and just trying to do what we can do to keep them on the ice.
You mentioned being at home and having the training room essentially here to bring guys in and get them ready for that Saturday game. But the training room on Saturday is pretty much your hotel room, or just the lobby of the hotel. What do you usually do with them to get them ready for that Saturday, or in this case, a Sunday home game or a road game?
Well, most of the time, if they're really sore, then I've got different things I can do with them to get them stretched out, get the soreness out of their muscles. We carry Nordic boots, recovery boots with on the road. I also carry a TENS unit with that does TENS, plus I can use it for stim. So I can treat those muscle aches, and I can treat those pains that they're having, and then making sure that they get up moving around, and we're doing a dynamic thing, and we have a schedule that we do every road game. So it's like we're up in the morning at 8, we eat breakfast, we're back, we're for a walk and doing whatever we got to do at 11, and then treatments are there before lunch, and then we do a few more treatments before game time. So it's just we're on a pretty good schedule.
And Kevin, you mentioned those recovery boots. We should, I try whenever they come up to make sure we mention it. A huge thank you to the Booster Club for providing things like those recovery boots for the guys and for you to use with them. The Booster Club does a lot for us, and I think that's probably one of the prime examples of the way the Booster Club helps get the guys ready to go on game day.
Another thing that we do have that I appreciate you guys getting us is the Theraguns. Yep. Theraguns save a lot of my hands for doing a lot of push and release, and it's good for muscle recovery and taking care of their soreness, and they get used quite a bit.
Is there anybody else that you would like to thank? We've thanked the Booster Club, but is there anybody else that you would like to give a quick shout out to?
Well, I like to all of our supporters that support the Tauros. We have a great support staff. Dr. Mattern is by her phone 24/7 if I got any questions. Trinity Health has got all the equipment that I need. Also, I want to thank the Pearsons, the chiropractors, and Kemet Dental. Without those guys, some days would be very rough. And when I can call them and get them in the same day, I really appreciate it.
Jennifer Wagner checking in saying, we are so lucky to have such an amazing training staff at the arena supporting you and our high schools. They are amazing. And I know Ken and myself and all the boys and the staff and the coaches, thank you for everything that you do. And I really wanted people to know exactly what is going on behind the scenes because you are at the rink almost nonstop all day, making sure these boys are ready and they're in a good state to be competitive out on the ice. So, Kev, we thank you for coming on and kind of just sharing everything that you've done for the team.
I appreciate everything that you guys do for me. You guys are just like family to me, and the guys are just like my own kids. What I got to do to get them on that ice on Friday night, and my goal every Sunday is who's gonna be on that ice Friday night.
Well, and you get to take them out on the ice tomorrow night when we go down to Aberdeen. Fans, that's Kevin Melby. Kev, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Fans, that is Kevin Melby, and we'll go ahead and switch guests here.
Yeah, and it's not just the players that Kevin takes care of.
No,
I say anytime I have an ache or pain, Kevin's the first call I make before I call my actual doctor. And I know Brad's down in the training room. It seems quite a bit. And I don't know about you.
I've gone down there. I've gone down there a couple of times.
But yeah, Kevin, he doesn't just take care of the players. He takes care of the whole team.
Exactly. Fans, let's now welcome, and I can call it now, the 4-time Target Tuesday champ, Christian Bubba Kadolph. Bubba, welcome to Tauros Weekly.
Thanks for having me the first time.
You've been on an absolute tear on Target Tuesday. For fans who haven't watched, you can see that on our Facebook page. Is it on YouTube as well, or
just Facebook?
Just on Facebook, the Target Tuesday. An ongoing thing we've been doing for probably 3 months now, and this has been the longest running champion we've had. And Bubba, what's the key? You're nailing those targets. I mean, this was probably
minus today where it was not your best.
Not to spoil the video, but there was the 1 week you went 5 for 5, another week you went 5 for 6. Is this something you practice a ton?
I do. I don't know. I just realized I need to practice every day, and I mean it helps a lot, obviously. But today was a little struggle, so now we know we got to go back tomorrow and before we go to Aberdeen and see if we can bury something.
Ben Kadolph checking in, best target shooter around. And I'm assuming Ben is who in relation to you?
Second cousin, I believe.
Okay. So some family checking
from
in.
Iowa, yeah.
Okay.
From Ames.
You were also the first champ.
I think, actually. What's that? Sorry.
No, you're good. You were the first champ to go first. What's kind of the psychology about going first compared to all the others where they went second?
I don't know. I just like intimidating them. Prove them wrong right away. Might as well see what I got before what they got. I don't know. Scare them.
Speaking of intimidating, we haven't filmed next week's episode yet. We've been filming week of, or actually day of. We did today's at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back to me for that.
Is there any specific teammate you'd like to call out for next week so we can maybe plan ahead here?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever teammate wants to come at me now, pretty much.
He's just gonna challenge the team as a whole. I like it. But aside from Target Tuesday, you're not just good at shooting targets. You've been a mainstay in the lineup here since you've got here. What is your style of game? How do you like to play?
I don't know. I like using my small body. I act like I play big. I learned to play small. I don't know. Obviously, I play on both sides of the puck, offensively and defensively. Guys call me Swiss Army knife all the time. It's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and
not many guys.
That's one of the main things that's always talked about, and what we see is you're playing both forward and defense. Mm-hmm. Is obviously you just want to be in the lineup and just play, but is there any specific position that you like playing the most?
Not at all. I could care less as long as we win. That's all I
Would
care
you throw
about.
on the pads and
I would. If it came down to that, I probably would.
Actually, that's a good question. Would you be the emergency goalie? Is that something that's been talked about at all?
I don't know. I mean, if they told me to, I probably would. I'm weird enough too, so obviously goalies are weird.
Is there any specific NHL player? Is there any specific NHL player that you've kind of modeled your high energy Swiss Army style game after?
Not really. I kind of just watch them all. I pick little details from everyone. Obviously, Jared Spurgeon. He's a small D man like me. He moves the puck well. He's really smart, and I love watching him. And then a hometown hero, Josh Archibald, forward, eats pucks all the time, and those are just little things from two guys that I really like from. So.
You're as an 18-year-old here. You're one of the younger guys on the team. How do you think do you have a goal for how you'd like your game to progress here?
I mean, it's just a small little another step in my game. Obviously, being in Minot, I absolutely love it here, and I mean, it's just another way in the road, I guess, from where I want to go to, which is obviously Division I hockey. That's everyone's dream, and just finding ways to get better every day from the vets, obviously, and I can also learn from other rookies, and hopefully I show some leadership too from being an 18-year-old.
You know, seeing you around the rink a lot, you're with Ike Keller a lot. Mm-hmm. How have you guys kind of formed a good friendship and kind of just bonded and helping each other get better?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just obviously I was a captain at Brainerd last year for my high school team, and I just want to keep leadership goals, I guess. But I don't know. Ike's been a great teammate. We always make fun of each other. I guess that's the bond we have. He calls me meatball or calls me minion. He calls me whatever, but it's just a bond we have that we can mess around with each other, and it's really progressed over.
Speaking of nicknames, you've been Bubba since you've got here. Tell us a little. How did you get the nickname Bubba?
Oh, it's just been a thing for a while. I guess I was a little chubby baby. And I don't know. It's just stuck. Nobody knows my first name at home when I play. I mean, they obviously do, but Bubba's definitely the way to go. Yeah, it's just, I guess, I don't know, it's just stuck throughout.
You mentioned being here in Minot. This actually isn't your first time here in Minot. You've spent time. You've never lived here, but you played for the Brocken Oilers. And even when we were filming Target Tuesday, we were walking by and you saw a bunch of the high school boys going out on the ice to practice, and you know them. What was that experience like?
Obviously, I didn't know I was going to come back in Minot. I was like, man, this town is just a whole lot of nothing, obviously. But it's obviously a lot more than what it was back then, obviously. But, I mean, just coming back, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess. It was really fun playing with those guys, and I miss them a lot. And now I can almost see them once a week at least, watch them play every once in a while. And if they support me, I'll support them throughout the way.
You also had a little bit different path. You were a guy who you went to Bismarck for training camp, I believe, before you ended up being in Minot. What was that experience like, and does that kind of add a little bit extra fuel to the fire when we're playing the Bobcats?
It sure does. That training camp was, don't get me wrong, I like the guys there. They're super nice to me, but it's just one of those places where you got to move on. You got to prove them wrong. So.
Off the ice, obviously some guys like to go golfing and anything like that.
Here between real road games, I'm going to have to figure out if I remember how to pack up my gear. It'll be a fun trip, though. I think we're headed down there. It'll be nice just to play in a different building. I'm sick of the VFW. I'm sick of always going down there.
Right.
So it'll be fun. It'll be a tough challenge. Aberdeen is really good this year. They're, I think, 24 or 25-1 now, whatever the heck it is. They just keep on rolling. So it'll be interesting to see how we do. They're obviously going to be the measuring stick for the division for the rest of the season. And I think it'll be fun to go down there and spoil a party in their barn.
But like you said, they do have. Now, granted, it is only one loss.
Yeah,
but. St. Cloud beat them.
St. Cloud beat them.
They're
unbeatable.
beatable.
And, I think it'll be a good measuring stick. We've talked about the changeover on this lineup, the new faces in town, how many new guys have come and gone since Christmas, whatever it is, 8-9 new players. But I think what'll be really interesting now, we've had 10 days since our last game to get ready for this one. I think it'll be a good good chance for the team to see where they are, and if we win, great. If not, well, then we'll see where we need to get for the final 4 months of the regular season.
Exactly. And then we play Wednesday, and St. Cloud's in town they get to town on Thursday.
Yep.
And then play Friday and Saturday at the Pepsi rink.
Yep.
So tickets are on sale. GoTauros.com.
Kicks off a 6-game homestand.
Another long homestand.
3 weekends in a row on the Pepsi rink before we finally get on the bus and get some more road games in. So I think it'll be a big, with restrictions being lesser and us being able to put some fans in there. The place was rocking against Kenai. I'm looking forward to the crowd continuing to grow here over the next few weeks as we open up, and I'm really looking forward to these next games. We've got St. Cloud, and then I think the Wilderness and
Kenai.
And
Kenai
Kenai
weekend
comes back, which those games had a surprising amount of grit considering
they did.
We play Kenai once every 3 or 4 seasons. Those guys figured out a way to not like each other pretty darn quick.
And you know what? It's going to be another fun weekend.
It is.
So that'll do it for another episode of Tauros Weekly. For Sean Bacco and Behind the Scenes, that's Ken Oda. I'm Peter Theodos. Stay classy, San Diego.